with the upcoming CBA, I think it's possible that we could see the draft fall from 20 rounds to anywhere between 10 and 15 rounds. So with respect to attention to the draft, I think it's never been better. And that's great for someone like me who pays attention to it year round. But in respects to giving amateur ball players the opportunity to play at the next level, I think there's some pitfalls and some dangers. You're going to kill it. This is going to be good.
Yeah. Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Mike Bradley, Balls and Gutters on Twitter. I'm very pleased to christen my podcasting efforts with Joe Doyle. If you're watching this, you're probably very familiar with Joe and all of his different draft-related and scouting-related things. I've been Patreon and listen to your podcast, and you mentioned something 8 years ago. Something started 8 years ago. Was that when you started Overslot? That's when you start 8 years?
No, so I started Overslot 4 years ago, but I've been doing prospects and specifically the draft since 2017.
The prospect interviews you've been doing for 8 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just listened to the Giants one, and if you guys aren't subscribed to Joe's Patreon, your guests are amazing.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm very biased to the Pirates. I'm bummed that Horowitz has moved on because I really enjoyed listening to him talk. Great guy. So kudos Nationals for grabbing him. And I'm a big Eric Longenhagen fan, and I enjoyed listening to you guys talk about the draft. And so it's for this little quirky industry, you got a lot of great connections and great guests. So I was trying to think of a joke to start this off, but we're going to try not to mention the UCLA shortstop today. I feel like every podcast that I listen to in the draft says his name like 17 times. And so we'll have to drink a beer for every time we say that guy's name. So
that sounds dangerous.
Yeah. No, I don't think we need to talk about him past the first pick in the draft. So anyway, one thing I wanted to lead off, since you're kind of one of the main draft experts out there, if we say the Rule 5 draft is basically dead, it's on life support, it's not a very useful draft, for lack of a better term. How healthy do you think the Rule 4 draft is, the MLB draft that we know it? Do you think it's very healthy? Could it use some tweaks? Like, in your humble opinion, do you think the draft, as constructed today, is a good use of its purpose?
That's a great question, Mike. I've been doing, spots like this on podcasts for a long time, and I've never gotten that question, and I appreciate you for asking it. I think the MLB draft is going in two different ways, in two different respects. One, Major League Baseball and broadcasting companies are investing in elevating the event, right? It's during the All-Star break. It's part of the festivities. It's being broadcast on more mediums and vehicles and publications than ever before. It's certainly got more attention on the internet over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. It has really risen to prominence, and maybe that's with the rise of college baseball. So in that respect, I think, eyes on college baseball, eyes on amateur baseball has never been healthier. But, in the other direction, we're talking about something that used to be infinite rounds, and then it was 50 rounds, and then it was 40 rounds, and now it's 20 rounds. And Major League Baseball, and specifically minor league baseball, continues to contract. Levels continue to be deleted. And as those levels get deleted, there's less need for more players. And so if we see Major League Baseball eliminate another level of minor league baseball with the upcoming CBA, I think it's possible that we could see the draft fall from 20 rounds to anywhere between 10 and 15 rounds. So with respect to attention to the draft, I think it's never been better. And that's great for someone like me who pays attention to it year round. But in respects to giving amateur ball players the opportunity to play at the next level, I think there's some pitfalls and some dangers.
No, I think it's a great response, and I'd probably, echo most of your comments. And and obviously you have mentioned the growth of college baseball, and that has been, I think, for the baseball fan, I think that has been wonderful. I've
Yeah.
never been as I live in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. I live right near Altoona. I think that's part of the reason I'm such a minor league guy, is like I get to see the guys in Altoona, and then a year or two later I get to see them, or in Connor Griffith's case, like you know 8 months later.
4 days. Yeah.
Yes, he's playing it for the Pirates. But no, so I really think that you're right, that I'm becoming more of a college baseball fan because of this. So kind of back to, you mentioned the upcoming labor agreement, which um, part of the discussions in MLB's even had meetings talking to the Players Association and lead up to this impending labor stoppage or shortage or CBA renegotiation about the competitiveness of baseball and the salary cap, Players Association versus the owners and the fans. I think the fans think the only way to be truly competitive is a salary cap, and I kind of disagree, and I disagree because I understand how beneficial the draft can be. My question I was gonna kind of throw out to you: do you think the MLB draft, tweaking the MLB draft, could help end the labor stoppage that might come next year?
I don't think the MLB draft is going to be any sort of leveraging pull, any lever for the Players Association or for Major League Baseball. I mean, like at the end of the day, I agree with you that I think there's more parity than people want to give baseball credit for. But, I think perhaps the Mets and the Athletics and the Rays are the worst versions of this, right? The Mets spend infinite amounts of money and they can't win. The Athletics and the Rays, not as much of late, but the A's are on the come up. Don't spend any money and they win, right? Because they trade their franchise pillars for multiple players that can help them right away, and they draft high. But I push back a little bit because I think while the outliers exist, the Athletics and the Rays, you look at a team like the Pirates, who does have a small payroll, has struggled with the best pitcher in baseball for a few years to win ball games, and that was an MLB draft, gem. Connor Griffin has arrived, and while the Pirates look like a better team this year, I still think they're largely flawed. Then you look at the other side of the spectrum, you look at the Dodgers, and it's not that they have the best players in the sport. I think a lot of people say, well, they buy all the best players. That's true. But what they buy is a very deep bench, and they buy a very deep bullpen. And when you're a team like the Dodgers or the Padres that can effectively end a game with the lead after the sixth inning, I think that's where there is a huge competitive, chasm between teams. So to answer your question a little bit more succinctly, I don't think the draft is going to come into play at all as it pertains to the stoppage itself. I do think the draft is going to come into play as owners are trying to save money, but I think those two things are mutually exclusive.
How willing do you think bigger market teams would be to give smaller market teams more competitive balance picks? Do you think that would ever, in lieu of not that the salary cap is really a richer teams versus poorer team issue. In a way, it is, but like, if you'd say, some tangible salary cap or more competitive balance picks, more advantages in the draft, or and in Latin America too, because the smaller market teams get
Sure.
larger international bonuses too. So like, if you're a good player development organization, in a way, I mean, can you imagine the Brewers with an extra couple of competitive balance picks, or the Brewers with more money in Latin America? Oh my lord, they're crushing it as it is. So
Yeah.
that's just something that I wanted to at least get your opinion on, because I don't even know if that's on the table for this CBA to let the smaller market teams get more CBA or more Latin American money. But I think it could help the competitive balance situation, at least. That's my
I
opinion.
think
So
you're onto something there. I think it's a unique idea. I don't think it necessarily fixes one of the issues, though, in Major League Baseball, and that is teams like the Rays and the Athletics and the Pirates, instead of actually, acquiring amateur talent and keeping amateur talent, they just ship it away. The Athletics have had periods in their team history where they're very good, And then it's 3 years and they flip it over. They trade everybody. The Marlins trade everybody. The Pirates trade everybody. The Rays trade I mean, it's a cycle, right? You can't buy a jersey for your favorite player for any of
Yeah.
those teams because he's going to be gone. And
Yeah.
good on the Pirates for signing Connor Griffin to an 8-year deal. And I hope we get more of that with at least some of these transcendent, generational prospects in baseball. But it doesn't solve the issue of we don't have enough money to afford the players that our fans love. And I think that is a disservice to the game because when you're constantly trading your best players to the same organizations over and over and over, that's an issue. And then the other part of this is, at least inside of the industry, and this doesn't, concern the fan, but, scouts for the Yankees and scouts for the Dodgers and scouts for the Mets and these teams, if you're a scout, if you're the scouting director for one of these teams and your first pick is 48 because of the penalties and the winning and like I know winning's not a punitive thing, but that sucks for those teams too, right? So I think it's a really interesting idea, and it's not an idea that I'd ever heard. Just continue to, bolster these organizations with more and more and more picks so they can have more and more shots, bites at the apple, younger talent. I still don't think, while it is a unique idea, I still don't think it fixes the problem.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know, it's a hard problem. I mean, I live near Pittsburgh. Comparing Pittsburgh to New York City is just you can't, you know? So like how do you make them equal as far as terms of teams? It's a hard and other sports have done it with salary cap and whatever, but baseball's just so different, and the
You know
minor
what I
league.
think of?
What's up?
You know what I think? I think of Major League Baseball. One of the issues that people talk about with the salary cap is, well, the Dodgers are already at $500 million, and the Pirates are at 110. Like that gap is so wide. How are we going to put a salary cap on this thing when someone else is so low? I look at it like the stock market. So if you let's just use like I don't know if anybody does stock trading or anything that listens to this podcast, but let's just look at like a stock like Nvidia or look at something like Bitcoin. Well, when it hit 5,000, when Bitcoin hit 5,000, people would say, "Ah, it's hard, it's so high. Like I missed the mark. I missed the boat. Oh, it hit 10,000. Oh, it hit 50,000. I missed the boat. I can't get in now. It's going to go down." Well, here's the thing. If you put a salary cap at 500 million or 450 million and you just keep it right there for the next 15 years, over the course of those 15 years with inflation, those bottom 10 teams that are paying 100 million in payroll, well, 10 years ago their payroll was 35 million. So fast forward 10 years where there's still 5 years left on this salary cap of 500 million, the Dodgers will have been stuck. They will have been stonewalled at 500 million for 10 years, while with inflation all these other teams, they're closer to 250 million. So it would take time. It would take a lot of time for that gap to close. But I think it's the only way to do this because you can't ask the Dodgers to come down to 350 million within 2 or 3 years. That's not a fair ask, but it's also not a fair ask for the Pirates and the Rays and the Athletics to come up to 180 or 200 million within the next 2 or 3 years either. So my suggestion has long been, let's set the cap at 500 million. Let the Dodgers be the Dodgers because they can develop talent, they can draft, they can acquire amateur talent. It's not like this is going to leave them dead in the water as their stars age. Let's put them at 500 million and let's let these teams kind of slowly work their way up with inflation and, the value of organizations continuing to climb. So I apologize for interrupting you, but that's just how I think this needs to be approached.
No, I think that's a good idea to put it high, but put it far out there enough that as inflation comes up, it adjusts. And I mean, and we don't even know the true like amount of revenue sharing that goes on right now. Like I think I'm a pretty smart guy, but I can't even get my head around all the finances of like how much we really pay each year, how much is coming from, our revenue sources, but how much is coming from the, revenue sharing pool and whatever. So Forbes comes out with some numbers, but people disagree with
They're
them.
estimates,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, but alas, so we didn't solve baseball yet. But like, let's get back to the meat and potatoes of what I'd like to talk to you about. The mock draft simulator. Wow, what a amazing tool for us nerds and what a visual for those that don't truly understand how this works, and maybe some of the earlier discussions we were having about competitive balance picks or whatever. It'll start making sense. I had my younger son who's 17 on here, and he understands the MLB draft or the NH or NBA draft and NHL draft because there's no slots or whatever. So then I just showed him the simulator and be like, here's what, like we legitimately could sign, the Pirates could sign somebody under slot, with our first pick and then go, $7-8 million with our second pick and have enough money where these teams like you were saying, like the Dodgers first pick is like 40 something or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if I was going to share my screen. I'm kind of new to this medium here, but yeah, mock draft simulator. There we go. But can you, as I'm kind of surfing around here, Joe, can you talk about the genesis of this and how you came up with this and when you started thinking about this?
Yeah. So, I had helped make a mock draft simulator back in 2023 when I was at Prospects Live, and my issue for the last few years has always been, yeah, we can put a mock draft simulator together like the NBA or the NFL and, have a list of players and rank them in order and you take the best player available, but it doesn't capture the essence of the MLB draft. The essence of the MLB draft is you have a finite amount of money in your pocket and you can only spend that much money. And I just wanted to create a tool that showed off the mechanics of how the draft works so people can hop in here and weigh the pros and cons of, so if I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates and I want to take, Jacob Lombard here with our number 5 pick,
Here.
well,
Yep.
that pick is worth $8.3 million, and that's exactly what Jacob Lombard is going to ask for. He wants full slot to be a Pirate. Or, if you want to get creative and be able to afford some high school players deeper in the draft that perhaps you wouldn't have enough money to, acquire otherwise, you could take, Sawyer Strohsnyder right there for $6.7 million. Because I think what gets lost is teams run out of money. And as you get into the second round and the third round, people that are unfamiliar with how the MLB draft works will look at, big boards at ESPN or MLB or Overslot or where have you, and they'll say they have a high, it's the third round, the number 18 overall player in the country is in this draft is still available. Why don't we draft him? Well, it's because that player wants to go to college and he costs more money than what you have left. So really, I mean, the crux of this is simple. I wanted to make a mock draft simulator that simulated what the actual MLB draft was like and not just, the way every other draft works, because it's not every other draft.
Yeah. Um, all right, let's go through I'll go through 2 iterations of a pirate draft just so that we
Sure.
can talk on those concepts. So, let's do the best player available currently. So Jacob Lombard, which we don't need to get into him, but you know, slot with super high ceiling. All right. So it's going to go through the draft and get down to the Pirates' next pick. And let me move my little window out here. You can see all the draft, the bonus slots here. So the Pirates slot, you can see it up here for the Pirates is 2.9 million. You can see everybody's slot down this column right there beside the team name. And
Yep.
then you can go and look how much we have remaining. So we spent the 8.3 million on Jacob Lombard. So what's left is 10.8 million. So then the algorithm says these are the best available players.
Mm-hmm.
And the red means you're going to sign them for Overslot, the name of the website. Whereas if you come down to anybody that's in green, it's, that is slot or below slot. And eventually you're going to see when there's some people that you can't sign for slot. So, okay, let's go for, well, let's not kill our total bonus pool here. Tyler Spangler, tough sign because he's committed to Stanford, but we
Yeah.
still have enough to sign him without, totally foregoing any talent left in the rest of the draft. So then the Pirates are on the clock again at 44. and
Hmm.
we can still afford some decent players. We could go overslot again, or just get a really nice, a college pitcher, a college bat, a Caden Sorrell, or somebody like that, Daniel Jackson, who's going nuts for Georgia, and let's just go for slot. And then the cool thing is, like, I can go about 100, maybe 150 players deep. I'm nowhere near as deep as you, and I spend way more time looking at high school players that we could go over slot than all these different college players. But then once you get past your pay grade, as far as me, I love the ability to simulate to the end, because
Yeah.
that it makes sense, and it goes through. And then you could show your buddy the copy of the URL, send it like, hey, I like this. I think I sent one to you one time and just said, hey, what do you think? I can't believe we can afford all these high school guys. It's so nice having 19 million. But okay, so you got a hard stop here in like a couple minutes. Okay, Joe Doyle, you're on the clock for the Pittsburgh Pirates. One way you could do the draft. Tell me how you would go. Okay, Vaughn
Yeah.
Lack is
So
probably not going to be there, but
probably not, but that's the thing is I wanted this to be not have I didn't want it to have determinism, right? Like I want this to be random. I want that in the back end there's an odds formula for every single player at every single spot. And I wanted to make sure that you're not getting the same results every time because it's a simulator. And
yeah.
if you're using the Pirates every time and the same players are available every time, it takes the fun out of it. So I think there's a 2% chance Von Lackey is there and in this scenario he's there. So why don't we, take Von Lackey? That would be a bit of a surprise. And as you can see, Lackey is going to cost us 8.3 million of the 8.3 million because he doesn't have any leverage. He's a college player. He can't go back to
Oh, I don't
school.
think I've ever done. I've never got a player that was asking for, like it said overslot there when it was time the Pirates draft. So yes, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has no
So
leverage. Can't. Go ahead.
so this is the interesting part of kind of what you've picked up here. I think one thing I want to point out here is it was what it says is reserve. Now reserve is how many picks you have left times $150,000 because the minimum that you can pay someone in the draft to sign them is $150,000. So no matter what we spend here, we have to leave 150,000. We have to leave 1.5 million in our bank so we can sign 10 more minimums. So what that says is, if we take Jacob Lombard here right now, we're going to be pretty much out of money. We're going to be pretty much gone for broke. So let's not do that. Let's take Archer Horn, another Stanford commit, another expensive player, but I think the Pirates in reality are probably going to go with a big overslot deal there at 34. So now we have 6.8 million left. Again, some pretty interesting high school picks here. Scroll down a little bit. Why don't we take keep going? Why don't we take Martin Schillar? He's committed to I think he's committed to Mississippi State. He's a little bit overslot, but still affordable. Awesome. All right, and then let's flex our muscles a little bit here. Let's do Will Yao for 2.7 million, perhaps the fastest player in the draft, right there. So now, as you can see, we've gone through 4 picks, and we have spent aggressively. Archer Horn, Martin Schillar, Will Yao, all over slot. So it's really going to stress out our $19.1 million dollar bonus pool. So as you can see, we only have $1.4 million left. And what this is basically telling you is, hey, you can go to ranked and you can see if there's a few players that are available for, all of these are blacked out because you can't afford any of them. There's some players that you can get for 250K, for 200K, 260K. Yeah, why don't we take AJ Vasco? He's an interesting outfielder, 6'5", and that's pretty much going to burn up the whole pool. So now you'll only be able to afford likely $150,000 players, maybe an $165,000 player, but that's the mechanic of it, right? You had a lot of fun with the first 4 picks. You got a lot of cool high school talent, but now you effectively have to sign everyone else for the league minimum. There's some guys here, yeah, that you can afford that are a little bit over that, but
Yeah. Well, at least I haven't
yeah,
followed him this season, but coming into the season, I kind of liked him. So,
yeah.
but
But the
yeah,
point is, like, you could probably simulate to the end here, and you'll see that the 6th pick that the Pirates take will be, slightly over 150K. But this is and there you go, AJ Vasco, who they end up taking, Dylan Veig, and then Bo Bryan's interesting arms. So, yeah, I mean, the whole point of this thing is to show you the risk and reward and how to budget and how scouting directors budget and how this whole thing works. And so, it's it's a tool that I think is working out well. There's still some finite tweaks that we're trying to make to it, but yeah, I think it's been received well.
No, but one last plug for all the stuff Joe does. I'm a Overslot subscriber, and I've been playing around with this screen a lot lately.
Yeah.
The different high school hitters versus college hitters, the different take a look at whiff rates and pull rate. I love also in the high school hitters when you give sample size too, because like that gives you a little bit of a perspective. Like, all right, maybe he just had a bad tournament or bad something or other there. But sorting by contact percentage and exit velocities, and no, it's I mean the amount of data we have right now to play around with this is so fun. And no, but this has been wonderful, Joe. Yeah, thank you for giving me some of your time and leading up to the draft. And this is ironically timed right, probably before you're going to do our Pirates Patreon podcast. Did you name who your guest is yet for that? Because you're not
I have
Horwitz.
not named it. I'm going to keep that one under wraps, but
Yeah,
it's a
okay,
good
yeah,
one.
hey, the last
It's a
time you
good
had
one.
that you announced was came out there was a mock draft simulator, and I said, God bless you, Joe. So,
We'll try to
anyways,
live up to that standard.
yeah, seriously. Anyways, well, thanks again, and go to Overslot for the content leading up to the draft. Play around with the mock draft simulator, and yeah, Joe, thanks for being my initial guest here. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. It was fun. I can't wait to do it again soon.
Hey, take care, bud. Bye.